In this episode of What's Working Now, we are going to talk about life's financial trap, the rat race. The rat race begins after you graduate from college. You get your first job, which pays well enough to fund your college education. Some people's first dream would have been to own a 72-inch plasma TV, or a 152-inch one if they are big dreamers. So you buy a television. The next item on the wish list could be a car. So you get a usable car while you wait to buy the car of your dreams. You work harder at work, you get a promotion and a pay raise. This means you can now afford to move to a slightly more expensive and fancier house, which you should do. It goes on, having a dream, working hard to realize it, then moving on to the next big dream. According to Wikipedia, the rat race is an endless, self-defeating, or pointless pursuit. It is usually filled with a lot of competition and comparison. At work or in business, the competition to get ahead of others is usually unending. Your peers change when you defeat them and get out of the cubicle. You and your new colleagues, who also own offices like you, are all vying for the corner office. You win again, and this time you get the corner office. The stakes are then raised, and you look up at the ceiling. This competition continues to the top floor, where the board is located. The rat race is a journey of competition with no end in sight. I'd like you to meet Steve and Angela to help us gain some perspective. In college, Steve and Angela were in the same class. They had both always enjoyed playing with numbers since they were children, so it was no surprise that they ended up in the same business class. College was a mix of weekend hard partying and a couple all-nighters when the schoolwork piled up. They didn't work particularly hard in class, but they kept up with their studies and received respectable grades. Angela, Steve, and some of their other friends would get together a couple of evenings a month to play Scrabble while having heated political discussions. Each of them relished these nights, which were usually the highlight of their months. Fast forward a few years, they graduate college, get decent jobs, and slowly but steadily slip into the rat race. Of course, as most college friends do, they promise to stay in touch, which they did through monthly Scrabble games. For a while, they would get together at least once a month to play a few games and reminisce about their college days. Chris stopped coming after a few months because his girlfriend became pregnant. Chris had to work extra hours because of the impending baby to cover the expected increase in expenses. Children are not inexpensive. Julie was also promoted and had to relocate to another city. Soon after, Steve found a girlfriend, and after a year of dating, he proposed to her and married her. He put in a lot of consistent effort at work, which resulted in a promotion. Steven used to own an old beat-up Toyota Corolla, but since he couldn't drive around in it with his new department head title at work, he bought a new car and sold the old one. His wife became pregnant, and they had to relocate to a larger home to prepare for the child. The monthly Scrabble game had long passed him by, as he was now immersed in the game of life. He got a mortgage, a second car, and a college fund for his children, and he kept telling himself that he needed to start investing in stocks. Every year, expenses magically increase, Steven complained, and he had to work even harder at work to make more money. Angela, on the other hand, never got around to marrying. Getting ahead in her career was everything to her. When she graduated from college, she realized how much time she had squandered on trivial matters. As a result, she planned her days down to the minute, making the most of each day. Angela's career advancement was not difficult. In fact, it came relatively easily to her due to the amount of self-discipline she had instilled in herself. So she moved up the ladder, beating out department heads for the managerial position, then other managers for the managing director position, and eventually she moved to a different company for a better paying job. Let it not be said that she lacked friends. She had them, and she enjoyed their company, but she didn't spend much time with them. As a result, she found it difficult to maintain any other relationships outside of work. Steve was sitting in his car, about to leave for a meeting, 20 years after graduating from college, when he felt the rat race crash down on him. Given how much time he spent at work, his marriage was on the rocks. He adored his children but rarely spent time with them. He was making progress in his career, and his investments were paying off. he was still dissatisfied. He believed that making a lot of money, driving a nice car, and providing the best for his children would make him happy. Instead, he was exhausted from trying to get ahead with no end in sight, exhausted from doing the same repetitive job over and over. He just wanted to be back in their cramped college dorm room, getting wasted, playing Scrabble and slamming Play-Doh. Steve called his Scrabble squad and planned a meetup in that car at that exact moment. Julie, Angela, and Chris, among others, had promised to attend. Only Angela arrived. That night, their topic of conversation was the rat race. Were they happy now that they had accomplished almost everything they expected to by the time they graduated from college? Could they see the end approaching? Was it all for naught? Steve was dissatisfied. He believed there was a better way to do this than to endure the monotony of their current existence. Angela was mostly resigned. She didn't know how to live her life that didn't involve her power suits. The rat race fed her, clothed her, paid for her expensive vacations, and ultimately made her as happy as it could. Breaking free from life's financial trap, Angela decided to investigate whether there was a better way to do things when she got home that night. Was there any point in advancing her career day after day? She had grown to despise her job and its monotonous nature. After reading a few books and perusing articles on various websites, she decided to see if she could improve the quality of her life by leaving the rat race. The odd at first, she needed to figure out if she was in the rat race. She couldn't get out of something she hadn't acknowledged being a part of. So she posed 3 fundamental questions to herself. Is there a conclusion in sight? No. Her career advancement was a continuous and lifelong process. Was her career and life in general marked by rivalry? It was the only way she was going to get ahead. Was it distinguished by comparison? Not much, but there was enough to be concerned about. Alternatives. Angela's next step was to determine whether there were any other ways she could earn money. The rat race was her bread and butter, and by leaving it, she needed to find another source of income. She realized after brainstorming that she lacked any other skills besides numbers. The only thing she enjoyed doing was drawing and painting on occasion. Exploration of an alternative. How do you make a living from drawing and painting? Angela had to ask herself this question as she pursued her interest. As a solution, she decided to work longer hours at home. Working more while attempting to escape the rat race does sound a little insane. Angela, on the other hand, found relaxation in drawing and painting. She felt good just doing something she was interested in and not having to rely on it to make a living. As a result, even though she worked a ridiculously long day job, she looked forward to winding down at the end of it. At the same time, she investigated how she could turn this passion into a source of income. Angela was eventually getting out of the rat race by mixing up her day with an activity that wasn't geared toward making money or getting ahead. Needs versus wants. Angela had to determine what she needed and give up luxuries she didn't need to stop completely relying on her day job. Her vacations had to be reasonably priced, her clothes had to be functional, and she didn't need a chauffeur when she could drive. By reducing these luxuries and focusing on her needs, her income requirement was reduced, making it easier for her to eventually leave her job. Steve couldn't get out of the rat race because his fear of losing his job, competitive nature, and desire to be like his peers all worked against him. He told himself that once he was done with all of this, he would retire to a small fishing village on some coast and be happy. Angela, on the other hand, bided her time, making small changes in her life and knowing that happiness is not a distant goal to be attained, it must be attained now. Now fast forward 2 years. Angela used her corporate connections to launch her design studio and school, which she now runs and manages. She is not yet profitable, but she expects to be profitable in a few months. By then, she will have the option of running the business herself or hiring someone else to do so. Angela would essentially have escaped the rat race and could finally begin living life on her terms. This is just one example of what many people face in today's world. Unfortunately, most people will have to work for a living for the majority of their prime years. However, you are not required to take this route. Every day, more and more people are starting online businesses, such as e-commerce stores, blogs, social media influencers, affiliate marketers, and the list goes on. It's time to take control of your financial future. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video or think it would benefit a friend or someone else, please share it. Also guys, please do me a favor and click on the bell icon and enable notifications if you're a subscriber. If you're not, well, welcome to the channel, and I hope you do subscribe and enable notifications. With that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.